NATO, or the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. It's often considered to be one of the most feared military alliances in the world. Its treaty says an attack on one member equals an attack on all. Soon after we wrapped up our show last night, there was an attack on one such NATO member. A missile struck Poland. 2 people died. How did NATO react? With confusion, followed by a desperate attempt to turn around the story. Let's now take a look at the sequence of events. At 3:40 p.m. local time on the 15th of November, a missile fell on a Polish village. This is where it is located on the map, just 6 kilometers from Ukraine. The missile hit a grain drying facility. Now, eyewitnesses say that they heard a terrifying sound as the missile flew over the town. The force of the explosion shook windows. One farm worker was due to start his shift at 7 p.m. later that evening, and he says he could have been among those dead. The attack came at a time when Russian missiles were raining on Ukraine. It was one of the heaviest barrages of missiles to hit Ukraine since the start of the war. Goes without saying, Russia was the obvious suspect. Poland's foreign ministry was quick to put out a statement. It said the missile was Russian-made. The country's president, Andrzej Duda, also hinted at a Russian hand. Poland even summoned Russia's ambassador to Warsaw. The reaction was quick. But so was the U-turn. Take a look.
We do not have any conclusive evidence at the moment as to who launched this missile. We can say what happened was an isolated incident. Nothing, absolutely nothing indicates that this was an intentional attack on Poland. So what happened is a rocket hit our territory. It was not intentional. It was not a missile targeted at Poland. The fact is, this was not an attack on Poland.
Chances are the missile never came from Russia. So who fired it? The NATO chief Jens Stoltenberg says the missile was fired from Ukraine. It was a Ukrainian air defense missile. It was meant to hit a Russian rocket. Instead, it struck Poland.
Our preliminary analysis suggests that the incident was likely caused by a Ukrainian air defense missile fired to defend Ukrainian territory against Russian cruise missile attacks. But let me be clear, this is not Ukraine's fault.
But why is it not Ukraine's fault? And what was NATO's air defense system doing when the missile was heading towards Poland? You see, NATO has an integrated air and missile defense system. It is called NATO IAMD. The alliance claims that this defense system is prepared to address all kinds of threats, from tactical to strategic, from air over land or from the sea. But here, it failed to spot a missile being fired from a neighboring country. Of course, it was a misfire. But it did hit a NATO country. It killed 2 people. What did NATO members do about it? Let's get you some reactions now. The Pentagon reacted by saying it was not aware of any such attack. And soon, the US President Joe Biden began downplaying the entire incident. Listen in.
President, is it too early to say whether this missile was fired from Russia?
There is preliminary information that contests that. I don't want to say that till we completely investigate, but it's unlikely in the minds of the trajectory that it was fired from Russia, but we'll see.
One would have expected NATO members to go to town criticizing Russia, but that was opposite of what was happening in Bali on the last day of the G20 summit. There were some cautious remarks and no naming names. Any idea why? First, the uncomfortable issue of NATO's own air defense system. Second, in this case, the missile was fired from Ukraine, a country which NATO has been standing by firmly, even committing its air defense to. But here, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky appeared to have no clue of what had happened. He issued a statement blaming Russia for the missile strike, even calling an attack on collective security and a significant escalation. Listen in.
Moreover, today happened what we were warning about for a long time. We said that terror is not confined to our state borders. It is already spreading to the territory of Moldova, and today Russian missiles hit Poland. They hit the territory of a friendly nation, and people were killed. To fire missiles at NATO territory, this is a Russian missile. This is a Russian missile attack on collective security. It's a significant escalation. Action is required.
Call it hope, confusion, or a communication void. Earlier today, NATO called an emergency meeting. The idea was to figure out how it would react. At least 2 alliance members called for strengthening the air defense on the NATO's eastern wing. This is the area I'm talking about. Countries like Poland, Lithuania, Estonia, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria. You see, the war is happening in their backyard. And what happened in Poland is a reminder that any moment the war could breach NATO territory. Also a reminder that NATO may not be prepared for such a grim occasion. The strike in Poland has exposed NATO's military and communication lapse. And guess who's having a field day?
We ask Polish officials to be more restrained, balanced, and professional when they are talking about such sensitive and potentially dangerous themes.
As the saga comes to an end, here's what NATO has concluded. 1. It needs to provide more air defense to Ukraine. And 2. Russia bears ultimately all responsibility. Those are the words of the NATO chief. In other words, Ukraine can misfire a missile. NATO's own defense system can fail. Civilians can die as a result. And it is all Russia's fault. The question is, what gives? WION World is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news updates on the move.